One farmer says, seems to me there was a tea party in Boston that was illegal too.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
We shall seek to establish and maintain a dollar which will not change its purchasing and debt-paying power during the succeeding generation.
As anguished shrieks rose up from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange.
Government credit and government currency are really one and the same thing. A reserve of gold and a small reserve of silver.
So, and I said, well, what if it does happen? And he says, well, price will solve everything. I said, thanks, give me the gold.
Why do central banks hold it? Well, it's a form of reserves. So why don't they hold diamonds? Well, it's tradition, long-term tradition.
Well, some people still think it's money.
Welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. We're here once again with Jonathan Boyd from Aurus Technologies. Many of you might remember him when we discussed AWG, AWX, some of their gold-backed crypto tokens. And he's here today with some updates with their company. And I'm going to let him do a secondary introduction for those of you who might not know him, who didn't catch the last video. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jonathan Boyd with Aurus Technologies. Good morning, Jonathan.
Hey, hi, Junius. Nice to join you again. Thank you for the nice introduction. Yeah, some of your viewers would have seen our first video, first couple of videos together. Just a quick update as to who is Aurus Technologies. So we are a UK-based and UK-registered technology company that provides the software to the precious metals market to tokenize assets. We started with gold. And what they can do is they tokenize those assets to the blockchain, and they can sell those digital gold in this matter to their existing client base, or through the channels that we create through the cryptocurrency market, through the crypto exchanges. So we're, basically we're providing the network for the old gold distributors and the old gold market to now plug into the new technology of the future. So yeah, I think, what I wanted to chat about today is we've got some really cool updates, some good developments since we last spoke a few months back. With everything going on in, in the world, in the markets, printing, trillions more dollars.
Yes, we're seeing it.
Yeah.
Stimulus after stimulus, unending fiat. Yeah. Yep.
Free money coming through. I wish I could get some, just drop my address to Janet and the boys there.
I'll put a good word in for you, and I'll see if Janet and Jerome Powell can send you some gibs. On this channel, we call it gibs. Gibs is kind of a joke we use. It's the free money. It's the gibs me dat from the government. And I'll find a way to get you some free gib money.
So I'll take some of that, right? So if it's going around, put my name down, please. But no, on a more serious note, we have, very excitingly launched a new product from Aurus. Again, guys, we are independent, so we don't sell or mint any of the gold-backed tokens that our name carries, but that is done through an independent network of distributors and providers. But we have launched AurusSILVER, which I think would be, super interesting to your, your followers and to precious metals enthusiasts and investors, around the world. So, here is a tokenized version of being able to own silver. And, as we all know, well, not all of us, but I think anyone who's got their nose in any kind of markets or investments these days saw what happened with Wall Street bets and, the Reddit community and pretty much activist investing from a retail perspective, came up against, research and data came up against, found some findings where they were, short selling, massively over short selling, some stocks. Whatever happened with that, we don't need to get into, up and down, that popped. But it brought to light the fact that, the silver market was, also potentially undervalued. And between me and you, we know that it is. And,
there are people that believe and say, and you can read it, that it's perhaps one of the most undervalued asset classes in modern times. We discuss it at length. I've shared with you, we've had great discussions just because of your location. You're in Amsterdam, and I happen to be a student of history. So talking about the East India Trading Company, the Dutch, and their ships full of silver, just absolutely heavy with silver, traveling the world, shipping, engaging in global commerce with essentially a world currency, hulls full of 8 reals coins and even their own silver to transact with spices, silks, porcelain, everything from all over the world. And they connected every continent. And, essentially silver was a one world currency at that time. It's inarguable. Nobody can deny that.
Yeah, I mean, they were the traders, right?
Exactly. And silver's undervalued. A denarius or a drachma could represent a day's labor. And I think being undervalued, but also having it linked to blockchain. As you know, I'm a firm believer of holding it physically. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. But in a sense, there is a way if you're holding it digitally, because you might have to explain. Some people might not understand that you have this relationship with multiple vaults, and the goal of Aurus is to have essentially vaults distributed around the world. And these are reputable vault institutions that are third-party audited that are going to hold those physical metals, correct? And then if people wish to, they could lay claim on a particular amount and take physical delivery of what was once blockchain represented silver.
Yeah, so there's an in and out. Yeah, correct. I think, to try and keep it as, what could be a technical conversation, to try to keep it as simple as possible. Yes, we are working with the precious metals market as opposed to trying to create a product to compete against them. So we're creating a decentralized network of vaults where the gold or the silver will be stored and insured and audited. So we have contracts in place with those providers. That's what Aurus Technologies does. We oversee that, all those standards are kept in place. And that gold and silver will be stored in those vaults, but it has been tokenized as a result, and you can now own it through one token equaling 1 gram of either gold or silver. Now that is a direct ownership of that asset, and directly redeemable should you want to redeem it. Now, keep in mind, folks, there's no perfect solution. When you're getting in early, when you've got a new growing kind of, product and market, it's going to become easier and easier to do smaller amounts, to redeem smaller amounts. But at this stage, you've got to look at a kilogram being your sort of entry level from a redemption point of view. And I think that's fair.
That makes sense. It's approximately 30 something ounces or so.
Yeah. 1,000 grams.
Like 32. Yeah, 33 ounces, about 32 ounces. I don't know the conversion. I'm an American, we do inches and pounds and all this, but yeah, a kilogram, I believe, is about 30 something ounces.
Yeah. So, I mean, we work with grams. So we're all about, allowing, retail investors to micro accumulate or accumulate with what they can afford.
Oh, it's excellent. Yeah.
Like an ETF, you may have to pay $10,000 or so to get in. And then you still don't know the provenance of the assets they've got. Is it stocks? Is it gold? What's the what's the quality?
Well, I think it's efficient for a micropayment side sense. Like, for example, let's pretend, I go to visit you. Let's say I'm in Amsterdam. We go out to eat. For whatever reason, I feel like I want to pay you for my half of the meal or a drink or something. And I could transfer that payment to you in AWS, correct? And then it would go to your wallet, and essentially I paid you in silver. We could transact effectively in silver, or if maybe the restaurant owner, maybe he likes silver, and maybe we paid the bill if it was $100 or whatever, a euro.
A digital wallet.
And, you could convert it and pay the bill. I mean, I would like to see.
Yeah, it's possible for sure.
It's a competition to currency. That's what it is, I think, is it helps challenge the monopoly of that fiat currencies hold when it comes to units of account, units of exchange. This is just an alternative unit of exchange and account that happens to be based more on sound money. No matter what, it's better, and it's an improvement upon what I call the zombie currencies or the leper currencies, which are unbacked paper fiat trash coupons.
Yeah, listen, I know that, a lot of your your listeners, your followers, and a lot of, if endearingly referred to as gold bugs, right? There's nothing derogatory about that term.
We're proud of it.
Love the physical, want the physical, the anonymity, if you can get that. I don't know how people will buy it, and some will. They like the anonymity, they like to have the physical, the tangibility, but there's no guarantee that you can, extract all the value out of that by just keeping the physical now. And what we're doing is we're saying, look to the future, look at where the trends are going, look at where, what technology is providing us with. And, that blockchain technology is allowing us to unequivocally prove direct ownership of the physical without actually having it in our possession. Great. Okay, as long as it's in an insured vault somewhere and it's proven, which Aurus does, and we provide you with those records and audit reports. Great. Okay, let's tick those boxes. Then I can actually use it to conduct business, services, pay for services and goods. Great, tick that box. I can do it on small goods and services as well. Brilliant. So I don't have to try and, hacksaw a piece of gold. It just bad example, but it's now you're maximizing the value that you can derive out of these physical metals. So coming back to silver, it's quite hot at the moment in terms of people talking about it, but it was never really available, to be honest, practically to a retail investor because of the low value to weight kind of ratio. I mean, you got for gold, you got a much smaller, a kilobar of gold versus a kilobar of silver is very different in value, right?
Yeah.
But now we're taking that issue with it away, leave it in the vaults. Fine, if you want to take delivery of it, okay, but leave it in the vaults, but use it to transact with. You can still own it. And, there's a brilliant article here, which I shared with you. And I think, I'd just like to read a little bit about it, and it refers to gold, but it can also be it can also refer to silver too, and tokenized gold is one of the smartest, most efficient and logical ways for investors to own gold or silver, whether it be through digital tokens, fractional or digital ownership of the physical. By tokenizing gold, investors determine where, when, and how they would like to obtain, settle, and trade their assets. Flexibility that was unavailable to the investor in the past. So it is just making it almost gold or silver 2.0, right? It's an advancement. It's a development of it. And
what I like about it, if I could just add, because I think you're the simplest way to put it, and you're doing it is you guys are adding, in essence, an enhancement to the utility of using silver and gold. Back in the day, the utility of these was, they were easily recognizable. They were money. We've seen all the attributes that gold and silver that make them what they are, to where they've served as money for 7,000 years. What you've done is you're saying, okay, we have gold and silver, which are really the perfect units to represent money. Inarguably. And then now we have this modern technology that if we tie it in with gold and silver, it's even better when it comes to utility. We eliminate that risk of loss, but because a lot of times people are like, oh, I'm not going to carry around gold and silver because I don't want to lose it. Obviously I've read a lot about shipwrecks. I've told you about a few that were happened to be Dutch. It seems like Dutch lost a lot of wealth as well as the Spanish, because of ships going to the bottom of the ocean with hulls full of silver and gold. And I can now buy something from you. Let's say I want to buy something that you have in where you are, or you want to buy something from me. We can transact, and I can transfer ownership to you digitally of the silver or gold, and take possession of a good, any goods that you would have sent me. And it's something, because this is an international world, international markets. I buy things myself from Europe. I know friends that buy things from Europe and Asia, and it's a good, efficient way to do that.
And I think importantly there as well is it's great that we can transfer and submit that value over the internet, using blockchain technology and
on phones instantly.
We can transmit that value, but we can also be certain that the value I'm transmitting, is or the gold is a certain standard. It's 49 LBMA.
Exactly.
For silver, 99.9 LBMA approved. So there are certain standards that when you're interacting with the Aurus network, that those standards are adhered to.
It's not just some ethereal programmed digitized prime number. It's not like you're saying. The difference is it's not your standard cryptocurrency where it's just a code. You're actually, it's a code, but it's a code that represents and is tied to physical metals. That's the foundation, the fundamental, I think, benefit to Aurus that I've said is from the inception of cryptocurrencies, from the beginning, before it ever existed in the metal world. I was telling everyone I knew, if they can tie this into precious metals, we might have what could be the perfect technology or perfect type of money. And you guys are bridging that gap in a way, I believe.
Yeah, I think, there's a good line here as well, just to make it clear, with, they mentioned digitized gold, but, I would rather use the word tokenized gold, because an ETF is digital, right? There's flaws to that. Can they actually, settle in the physical? And most, if all, had to redeem at the same time, wouldn't be able to. Same with silver, those are the issues, right? Too much paper assets. So with tokenized gold or silver, investors now have the ability to establish a clear title of ownership over physical gold without the need to take physical possession of the metal. So therefore, while investors still technically maintain ownership of their investment, they are not responsible for the storage, security, insurance, or transportation of that gold or silver. It's a game changer.
It is.
And we're very excited about it. It's been extremely popular. We're selling out, as it's been tokenized. And I mean, if we just look at, I did a little review. I mean, what's the price now? It's $27 an ounce on silver. Not financial advice, folks, but just looking at some pricing. $27 an ounce now. The whole, Wall Street bets thing took it up to just over $30. That came down because it was a much bigger market than just a GameStop kind of stock. But if you take a zoom out of 10 years, the high was $48, 10 years, 10-year high of $48. So there's a lot of upside there, if we just look at the 10-year perspective. Add to that, what we started this chat with, with the money supply that's just been, exponentially increased, rates of low to negative, global turmoil through the pandemic, you can do the math. So I think it's a really good addition. So Aurus Gold, Aurus Silver, we'll have some more updates for you on potentially some other precious metals that will be, joining the stable of the products, in good time too.
Yeah, absolutely. And how, if I could ask, because I know there's obviously this regulatory navigation that you guys have to perform, and you got to jump through the right hoops, and every country is different. I can't imagine what you guys have to work through on that front. But there's the SEC in America. America really thinks they're the big kid on the block that gets to tell everyone what to do. Obviously, it's a big world. America doesn't represent all of it, and other nations like the EU, the UK, Russia, all parts of Asia, they can make their own decisions, and they have, when it comes to regulatory clarity on crypto assets. Are you guys working with, or are there things you can disclose? Maybe there's stuff you can't disclose. What's the progress? How does it look when it comes to you guys navigating the disaster that is United States clarity and regulations when it comes to cryptocurrencies?
If you're specific to the US, then, the simple answer is, we'll cross that bridge once the demand necessitates it.
Okay.
And once they've made some clear decisions themselves, right?
Yeah.
It's this
This
way.
channel is an international group. There's a lot of people watching you right now that are from Australia, Canada, the EU.
Isn't, then it's Yellen is pro or not, and then this, there has to pierce, and I think a lot is still to be decided as to how they're going to regulate these markets. You've got the XRP sort of case going on, so I think the US is we're not too focused on that right now because of that regulatory clarity that's needed.
Okay.
From the gold perspective, the gold markets are generally quite unregulated anyhow, precious metals markets. With regards to our company, though, our UK registration, and with the FCA, we've got a submission in there as well. We have a very, favorable legal opinion, Sharia compliance, in terms of some of our products as well. So that's positive. We're waiting for some feedback from the FCA as we speak. So we've always looked at that from, rather be in line from the beginning rather than trying to fit in line later on. So, we've always designed our products from that perspective. And it's very important to us, for longevity too. So we are expecting some positive feedback from a regulator.
Excellent. But at this point, it wouldn't be possible. There's nothing available. If there's a U.S. individual watching this part of the Junius Maltby channel that wanted to perhaps grab some Aurus silver, they would not be able to right now. Not yet.
Yeah, absolutely, they can. They can. You can acquire it through distributors. You can acquire it through crypto exchanges in the near future. I think the guys need to just go onto the website and do some reading for themselves and see if it's applicable. We don't provide financial advice. So, if anyone's interested, go do the research, go get in touch, get on the website. You can buy it through crypto exchange, and you can get it through distributors as well. And we don't provide tax advice or financial planning advice at all. I think that's up to the investor to inform themselves. But
excellent.
Yeah.
I'll put those links down below. Actually, I'll have you could send me the, I know your website, obviously, but if there's any other additional links, I have the article that you were looking at that you sent me from NASDAQ, and I'll include that as well in case people would like to read the entirety of it on their own as well.
Yeah, I'll pop you a couple of links on some of the other articles we wrote as well. Yeah, so very exciting. We've got new listings coming up, from a digital exchange perspective as well. So on and off ramps for clients going to become much easier. New distributors, for precious metals in the Turkey region, in Singapore too. So adding to that stable, looking forward to a really strong year. And really
it's rapidly. I mean, it's growing. You guys, we're the dawn of a new era, a new age. And it's very interesting to see it firsthand. I mean, it's a burgeoning industry. This is really it's like other times in history, when you saw and you could feel almost like an energy and something was brewing, something was changing, shifting. And I think it's very palpable with Aurus that you guys are kind of part of what is happening, this change. I mean, there is, as you talked about, as we open with, there's economic turmoil. My channel's very familiar with that. That's essentially what we talk about. And then you've got this shift with people recognizing, I think as a whole, I mean, with the Wall Street bets, like you talked about, what did you call them? I loved the term that you used, something investors, activist investing. Yeah, you've got these activist investors. And, I am proud to say that I think the precious metals community, the gold and the silver stackers, might be some of the first true activist investors, really. I mean, it was back 15 years ago when people were trying to buy silver with the entire hope of crashing JP Morgan. That was essentially what we were doing back then in 06, 07, 08. Yeah. And it's beautiful. I think activist investing is a thing. I think giving power, returning power to the people in this way. And I mean, what better way than to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get rid of fiat. I'm going to get rid of my trash dollars. I don't want them. I'm going to hold silver and gold. I'm going to transact with those. And I'm going to find community members that also hold those and want to transact with them.
And that there's no paper assets here. If there's a run on a fund, they may only be able to settle in the physical asset for a portion of,
exactly.
asset value, right?
Let's talk about that real quick, because did you just see recently the ETFs? I'll name them. iShares Silver Trust, SLV. Did you see them? And another one, they had to revise their prospectuses. They did a revision to the prospectus of their fund to alert investors of the volatility in the silver market. and that there was potentially going to be price fluctuations that the short sellers were going to have to meet and pay.
Yeah.
There was, I mean, obviously that these retail investors, these activist investors that we're talking about, they are having an effect. Some people try to deny that they are. I disagree. I don't think the internet would be generating hundreds of news articles, and I don't think ETF funds would be revising prospectuses if there wasn't something they were being cautious about. And that's
Yeah.
something that I don't think could happen. With
Yes.
Aurus, it's digital, it's one-to-one. You have silver for the token, like it's.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's no doubt whatsoever that if you wanted to redeem and sell your shares, you getting the physical, you actually can get redeemed
Yeah.
in the, you know, rather than getting paid back in cash. I don't want cash back. I want the physical, right?
Yeah,
That's
you're
why
not an ETF selling the same bar to 10 people.
so your provenance is there. I mean, like that's, you know, that's the difference between it. There's no
It's
need
the
to-
big difference, and that's why I don't understand why people hold paper silver ETFs, and that's, I think it's very important that people recognize the difference, because I think people that might not be as informed might lump you into that category. They're like, oh, Aurus is just, it's paper silver. It's not. It's digital. There's a big difference between digital silver and paper silver. Digital silver is irrefutable. It's part of a blockchain. It's that gram right there that I'm looking at, that physical gram has a number and a code on it associated with it that is tied to one particular unit of AWS. There's not 10 AWS per bar or per piece of silver. It's one-to-one.
Prove that, right?
And an audit will prove that, exactly. And it's vaulted and it's audited. It's entirely different from the ETF model. The ETF model is obsolete. I'm telling you, you might as well be driving a horse-drawn carriage in this era. The ETF model is ridiculous.
Listen, what we're excited about is, I mean, imagine a basket of, you know, Aurus silver, Aurus gold, maybe Aurus platinum as well. You know, people can create a risk-adjusted basket of, you know, one-to-one backed digital assets. So it's kind of like the perfect ETF. And if I want to redeem it, I'm actually getting the physical out with no doubt over whether I'm going to be first in line or 100th in line, and whether I get the physical or I get the cash. You know, you can get the cash as well if you want to, but
it's a beautiful thing to hold. I mean, I think having an exposure to palladium and platinum and silver and gold and even copper. I mean, if you had all those baskets of metals, then what you're doing is because all those metals react differently to different economic winds. I mean, you might see growth in industry and in the automotive market that causes your platinum and palladium values to increase. And then you might see economic turmoil that will drive the gold up. And of course, silver's industries are always increasing with new demand. And they're going to obviously fluctuate against one another, but you're going to have exposure to all. And it'll add almost like that, just a really good way to hedge. And for people that want to hedge.
Diversified investment at the end of the day.
Say that one more time.
I said a well-balanced and well-diversified investment.
Yeah. And you can't beat precious metals. I mean, they don't go anywhere. Nobody can take them. And they don't owe anybody anything. They have no liabilities.
Converted here, Junius.
What's that?
I said you're preaching to the converted.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, they've never gold and silver, platinum. They never go to zero. You'll never see them go to zero.
Yeah.
Just doesn't happen. They never will. Never has happened. And it's one of the beautiful things about it.
Yeah. On that, I think, you know, really good to catch up with you again. We'll speak soon. And I know you're busy and you have another appointment coming up here pretty soon, you were telling me about. So in a few, you're actually, the clock's ticking, you're getting close to that. So I won't keep you any longer. I'm glad you checked in with me again and wanted to break your news about the silver and stuff on this channel. I think that's great. I'm excited to share it with the community here. Listen, if we put 2 and 2 together, you know, and get 4, the chances are you may see, you know, another precious metal popping up in our stable very shortly. So on that bombshell, we'll chat soon. And
I appreciate it. Good talking to you, and you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah.
And
You too,
we'll
man.
see you on the next one.